Hey, are you thinking about selling everything you own and hitting the road full-time like what Joelle and I have? Are you thinking about going full-time RV? Well, I want you to stick around because in today's video, I'm going to take a few minutes and share with you a few thoughts that I have as it relates to what to buy, when to buy it, maybe not even so much when to buy it, but I just want to talk to you about that process. Stay tuned. So recently, one of the more negative YouTubers that we see talked about how all the people complaining about their RVs breaking and so forth, the problem is on them, and you weren't planning right and everything else. And that got me thinking as Joelle and I were out doing one of our morning walks together the other day about this whole I want to sell everything and go live in a van down by the river concept, or what is otherwise known as full-time RVing, going full-time into the RV world. And I want to talk to you, just give you a little bit of advice on what you should be thinking about when you're considering doing full-timing in the RV world. If you want to sell everything you own, sell your home, and travel the country like what we do full-time out of an RV. I think there are a few things that you need to consider. In the last 6 months or so, the trend on YouTube has been YouTubers kind of bitching and complaining and griping and moaning about how their RV is falling apart and how their RV is breaking. And this is definitely a prevalent problem. In particular, I'm seeing this as being a problem amongst some of the larger manufacturers. I'm not going to name them here because I don't want anybody coming after me with lawyers and everything, but many of the big manufacturers are really suffering with a lot of negative press and a lot of negative publicity all throughout YouTube, as massive YouTube channels or significant influencers are complaining about issues that their RV is having. And I think a lot of those things could be avoided if they went into it understanding something that we have learned. Now, we owned a Winnebago Micro Mini Flex, 2108 DS Flex, for about 8 months. And it became apparent shortly therein of us getting on the road, within say 4 or 5 months, that there is no way that rig was going to be able to handle the rigors of driving around the country, maybe logging 10 to 15,000 miles a year as we would drive around the country. There's just no way it was built for that. That got me concerned. This was something that we had really taken a chance and hit the road full time, and we're living out of this unit. And as things broke and things started to go awry, you have various schools of thought. If you own an RV, stuff's going to break. That's true. If you own an RV, you're going to be making repairs. That's true. Somebody said to me what the RV mantra is in the RV world of most those of us that are living full time is, if you don't have a project that you're working on today as it relates to your RV, you're falling behind. That's pretty true. With that being said, I believe that there's a few things that you need to consider as you're working into the full-time RV life. Your RV, if you bought a stick and tin built RV, even some of the better known brands, your RV is technically not designed, nor is it built to actually be something that you live in full time. Now, we own a Bigfoot 25 RQ. It's supposed to be one of the best built campers in the world today. It's a 2-piece fiberglass camper, and honestly, it is built quite well. The frame is built and manufactured inside their manufacturing facility. They don't outsource their frames. It's supposed to be a very high quality RV. But like what I found in the Winnebago, and even had a Winnebago representative say this to me, our units are not designed to live in full time. Well, if you start looking at all the major manufacturers, you will start to see that they all say the same thing. Now, I don't know if it's an insurance thing, I don't know if it's a warranty thing, but if they find out, some of them even say in their documentation, if they find out that you're living full time in your RV, and pay attention to this, it'll void your warranty. Not that the warranties in the RV industry are any good, because my experience with the Winnebago is they would look for every reason under the sun to not honor the warranty. So I think that's kind of a given, but it's in the documentation. I was noticing, and the reason that I'm making this video is in the Bigfoot, a company held closely, private family held company, held closely, even has in the manual that I have a statement just like that. This unit is not designed to be lived in full time. In fact, let me read that directly to you. So right here I have the Bigfoot owner's manual for a 2500 series travel trailer. Boop. And this is ours. This is the one that we have, the 2500 series. Here's what the Bigfoot manual says on page 57. Effects of long-term occupancy. Your travel trailer was designed primarily for recreational use and short-term occupancy. If you expect to occupy the travel trailer for an extended period, be prepared to deal with condensation and the humid conditions that may be encountered. And it goes through the humidity and condensation because our unit is so airtight. That's a reasonable thing to put in the manual. However, down here in bold it says, and this is what I want to read to you, important note, your travel trailer is not designed to be used as permanent housing. Use of this product for long-term or permanent occupancy may lead to premature deterioration of the structure, interior finishes, fabrics, carpeting, and drapes. Damage and deterioration due to long-term occupancy may not be considered normal and may, under the terms of the warranty, constitute misuse, abuse, or neglect, and may therefore reduce your warranty protection. Now, this is a little more polite version than what I had read in some of the other manufacturers' same type of statement. But that's something that you need to understand. It is now becoming a very common informational point with all of the frame failures that are taking place on YouTube with major YouTubers. That meaning their frames are breaking on their trailers, and some of the manufacturers have been fighting, actually backing it, and so on and so forth. That the manufacturers are coming out and saying now, publicly, your trailer, your camper trailer, your $100,000 fifth wheel that you bought is manufactured under the auspices or under the terms that you will be using it for a normal period. And normal, as they define it, is 20 to 30 nights per year. And that's not even driving it all over the country. That's considered normal, even if you spent a decent amount of money on a larger rig. So there are manufacturers out there, I think of some off the top of my head, that are supposed to be the prime premium super manufacturers. Outdoors RV is one example. Ember, right now, from what I understand at the time of this video, is another example. Airstream is another example. There are other manufacturers like ours, the Bigfoot, the Oliver trailers, and the, say, the Escape trailers, or Scamp or Casitas. These are all fiberglass manufactured campers. Now, it's starting to seem apparent that the fiberglass manufactured campers are indeed built better, or at least can withstand more abuse. But the important thing that you need to understand is if you're thinking about doing this full time, be very careful what you buy. I have a suggestion that I want to offer to you right now to help ferret out what it is that you're going to be purchasing. And it's this: join Facebook groups that have at least 1,000 members that represent the trailer that you want. A Bigfoot RV, there's 2,400 members in the Bigfoot RV group that I'm a part of. Or the Outdoors RV group, there's like 10,000 members of that. The Micro Mini group that I was a part of, which I learned a lot in and really loved the people in, that had 680 people, the Flex series group. The Grand Design groups, the Forest River groups. Get in those groups and see the trouble. Scour those before you invest $30, $40, $50, $100,000. If you're going to do a Class A, a lot of people will say, well, if you're going to do it full time, you want to be in a Class A. Not true. I see people all over the place whose Class A's are falling apart because they're poorly designed and they're poorly built. The build quality is subpar. You want to do your research on this if you're going to go into it full time. If you do go into it full time, it will require maintenance, just like if you own a home. You're going to have to be cleaning your seals on your vinyl seals on your windows and your doors. You're going to do your bearings. You're going to be constantly checking your suspension. You're going to maintain your water fittings. There is a lot of stuff that you're going to be doing, just like if you had a home. It's not just selling everything, hooking up a trailer, hitting the road, and enjoying the free living life of living on the road. That is a misnomer, and it is a mistake if you're thinking that's what you're going to do. Recently, there's a YouTuber that I really like a lot. I think she's a great photographer, and she got me inspired to do this whole thing. Her name is Christian Schaefer. I'll put a link to her channel below. Her video skills and her the way that she documents what she does is extraordinary. I just love her work, and she does such a good job. Recently, her ProMaster developed a leak. She had to rebuild the entire interior of her ProMaster, stripped the whole thing out. A van that she had been in for about 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, because I started following her when she did the first van build, and about 3 or 4 years into it, water leak, mold, mildew, total disaster. Had to take 2 weeks or 3 weeks and strip it all out. She has a video documenting that process. This is something that you deal with. You're going to be dealing with things that break, and it's not always fun. And we're even seeing that now. As it relates to this, the people that are complaining about stuff breaking, and I can't believe it, oh my gosh, I don't understand. Well, you know, it is part of the game. But if you're buying stuff that's manufactured and mass produced, I'm telling you, the way that I see the RV industry right now is a lot like what the automotive industry was in the 70s when I was a kid, and Toyota entered the fray and Honda entered the fray. The domestic manufacturers were really building garbage at that time. It was just trash, but they had a corner on the market and people would buy it even if it was garbage. And then Toyota entered the fray with the Toyota trucks, and Honda entered the fray with the Accord and the Civic. And they turned the auto industry on its ear because of their attention to detail and their attention to quality. Some of these smaller manufacturers like Bigfoot, yes, they do a better job of quality, craftsmanship, manufacturing. That's my view. But it's not without even them warning, saying, if you live in this full time, yeah, we might not warranty what you're doing because we don't build it thinking that that's the case, that you're going to be using it for that. We build it for normal camping, which is, according to the manufacturers, 20 to 30 nights per year. So this is important data that you need to consider if you're considering life on the road full time. And I just wanted to get that out there for you. The last thing I'm going to say is this. Do your own research. Dealerships have one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to sell you an RV, period, especially if they're not a small family-held dealership. Yes, there are a few dealerships around the country. There's one in Central Florida. There's one up in Indiana somewhere who are very reputable. I think Bish's, the one that Josh the RV Nerd does the videos for, Bish's, I think, has a great reputation with regard to reasonable price, making sure that you know what you're buying, getting you in the rig that's going to be best for your needs. But we had a terrible experience when we bought the Winnebago Micro Mini. We were great until they got our money and we took it off the lot. And then nobody wanted to answer questions. Nobody wanted to take phone calls. The follow-through was non-existent. I would never make that mistake again. Do not trust RV salesmen. In my view, I would be willing to bet many of them don't even use the RV or they don't even camp. You want to join Facebook groups, talk to people that know, watch YouTube channels, check out RV inspectors and RV mechanics online. They can give you a lot of data that you're going to want prior to making a decision on what you want to purchase. So these are my thoughts that I wanted to share with you to help make your decision to get into full-time RV life something that is well thought out, well articulated, and get you on your way to a life that you can enjoy and not be perpetually frustrated by because you feel like you've been misled or taken advantage of in one way, shape, or form. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Please like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you know when content's going to be coming out again from yours truly, Rob the RV Guy. Really grateful that you're here. As we close out, this video is a video that YouTube thinks you want to see next. This playlist is all things RV modifications that I'm developing. And if you click the circle, you're subscribed. And I would love to have you on board as a subscriber. See you in the next one. Rob out.